에이.
야, 소말리. 어디가?
어디가?
어?
어디가?
어디가? 어디가?
어디가? 오시미 어디가?
어디가?
어디가? Yo.
Johnny Somali, one of the most toxic IRL streamers to ever walk on planet Earth, is back at it again. Many of our audience may already know Johnny Somali from his criminal indictment and arrest in Japan, leading to his eventual and much-needed deportation from the country in January 2024. But rather than sticking to the promise that he told the Osaka District Court during his trial in Japan of how he was sorry and will never take videos again,
고멘나사이 Japan. 고멘나사이. I'm sorry.
he lied for, we really cannot guess for how many times in his life, and is back with his selfie stick, filming videos. And the country he headed towards this time was nowhere else but South Korea, just a few hundred kilometers across the sea from Japan. And just around a month later, after he first stepped foot in South Korea in late September 2024, he has been arrested by the South Korean police and is under investigation for multiple charges. Furthermore, as of the phase of creating this video, he has been barred from leaving South Korea by the South Korean authorities. Now, many of our subscribers at this point may have already watched some of the recent videos floating online of Johnny Somali being jumped by the South Korean YouTubers and citizens, as those videos are indeed going quite viral at this point. But then, we wanted to really take this time to chronologically explain in detail of what Johnny Somali has actually done after he first stepped foot in South Korea that eventually got the South Korean people to be so upset with him, rather than just show what we can consider as essentially the culmination of all of Johnny Somali's F-ups during what has become already more than a month of his stay in the country, which is, of course, him being jumped on by the South Korean citizens. Because as we can see from Johnny Somali's repost that he made just a few minutes ago on X, him and some of his followers are trying to push the narrative that South Koreans are just, to quote their words, chimping out because they have zero emotional regulation and is just out there being angry against Johnny Somali because he merely did some twerking on a statue. But by the end of this video, you'll realize that this is far, far from the case. In order to properly understand the chronology of Johnny Somali's escalating level of contemptible behavior in South Korea, we have to first go back to September 26th, 2024. Now, September 26th is actually Johnny Somali's very birthday.
Here's Johnny!
And at 10:16 p.m. Korea Standard Time on his birthday, Johnny makes an announcement on his social media that is, well, far from the best of news for everyone in South Korea, that he has safely made it to the country, posting a selfie of himself taken at the Incheon International Airport. And at 2:40 a.m. on the 27th, after checking into a hotel room, he makes the announcement that he'll be doing his first live stream in South Korea, starting from noon on the same day after he gets some sleep, wasting absolutely no time to start the type of shenanigans that got him kicked out of Japan just a few months ago. But wait, in the title of his announcement live stream, we can see that he wrote, "Reformed." And in this announcement live stream, he did seem to be cautious about reports, leading him to mute discriminatory language and graphic audio from his TTS, or text-to-speech, which did lead to some people to initially assume that Johnny was indeed perhaps, just perhaps, maturing and was learning from his past mistakes. And if he muted discriminatory and S-related audio contained in the TTS of his livestream that he conducted in his very private hotel room, surely he's also going to do the same thing a few hours later and mute offensive language and P-graphic sounds from his TTS during his livestreams conducted in public places, such as convenience stores and subways, right? But that was just not the case. Just a few minutes into his first ever IRL livestream in South Korea, he barged into an outdoor live performance being conducted by the elderly, leading them to stop the performance until he went away and ruined their day, started blasting obnoxious music and sounds at a bus stop full of people, then began twerking. Then when he got onto the bus, he did not mute any of the discriminatory or sexually offensive audio from the text-to-speech of his donation followers, leading to the audio of phrases such as this or this to be blasted from his phone while inside the bus. All of the audio was automatically translated to Korean, by the way, meaning that people inside the bus just had to patiently hear all this extremely offensive language off, wanting to infect Korean women with HIV, beating up all of the Koreans on the bus. You guys get the idea. And of course, there were the North Korean music and speeches from Kim Jong-un as well. But at this point, we all know that something related to North Korea is just something that was bound to come out from Johnny Somali's mouth and phone at this point. And the place that he got off from the bus ride was the 전쟁 기념관, or the War Memorial of Korea Museum. Then he continued to act disrespectful and obnoxious at a war memorial site out of all places.
Why'd you stop? Make it harder. Spin, daddy. Spin the gun.
Then went on to eventually commit the act that would get him all over the South Korean news in a few weeks' time, kissing the Statue of Peace. Now, if we are to really get in depth into just how symbolic the Statue of Peace is for the people of South Korea, that would take a very long time, as we'll have to go into the details on much of the historical aspects of South Korea during the period of Japanese occupation. But if we are to just really briefly explain on them, they memorialize all of the victims of slavery of South Korea before and during World War II. Now, although we had to really blur the film footage taken of the victims in 1944, as shown on screen right now, as the direct version is just way too cruel for YouTube, you can still see even through all of the blurring of how they are literally being dragged by the Japanese soldiers by force with tears in their eyes, and how severely beaten they are. Imagine yourself as the victim, being dragged away from your loved one, and being committed the most heinous of crimes by the soldiers for their sick pleasures. If you're a human being, you know that their memorial statues are the very, very least we can do to remember and pray for their souls, and how they do not deserve to be kissed, as violated, and fingered. Yes, fingered by Johnny Somali, and be described by his donation-sending cronies as World War II. We are not even going to say that word. Just absolutely disgusting group of people. But then, this type of reaction is most likely what Johnny Somali wanted to exactly ignite out of the South Korean people. But then, what many don't know is that for the first few weeks after Johnny began all his borderline criminal and some downright criminal behavior in South Korea, he really did not receive that much attention from the South Korean people and the media. And that is because, well, he's just too small and irrelevant of an online figure in the country.
Who the is that guy? Who the
Now, Johnny Somali is indeed already notorious in Japan and for people who follow the Japan-based YouTubers. But with that said, the vast majority of people in South Korea who do not really pay attention to the Japan-related news just quite frankly never had the chance to come across Johnny Somali, including many reporters and journalists who work in the media. So for the first few weeks of Johnny Somali's stay in South Korea, starting from the September 26th, he just went around on a daily basis harassing the elderly, scaring kids, turning on P-graphic audio in just basically everywhere he went, including in theme parks, where hardworking parents bring their children on one of their rare off days to spend time with their kids, deliberately visiting and violating the different statue of pieces placed at different locations around Seoul on different days. In his now deleted live streaming video, he literally just said, to quote, "Let's just head to this effing comfort woman statue, go put some baby oil on it, and go finger the statue."
Let's just head to the comfort woman statue and go put some baby oil on it and go finger the statue.
In which he very much did, by the way, and just so much more throughout his initial phase of stay in South Korea. Now, on October 7th, 2024, Johnny Somali was finally televised for the first time in South Korea by JTBC, a South Korean television broadcaster. However, the reaction from the South Korean people were still somewhat lukewarm, as you can see from the number of views from this very video of just over 14,500 views. But with the clout-chasing walking piece of virus that Johnny Somali is, he immediately reacted to himself finally being on the South Korean news.
Johnny Somali,
Seeming more than elated that South Korea finally acknowledged his existence. Little did he know, this October 7th television segment by JTBC was the beginning of the end to his career in South Korea. Now, even after Johnny was first aired in South Korea by JTBC, other news media outlets still remained somewhat apathetic, with there not being that much further coverage from broadcasters other than JTBC. However, things finally changed on October 17th, 2024. On this night, Johnny was out as usual, conducting his usual shenanigans, then eventually sat down at a convenience store in order to eat cup noodles and drink soju. Of course, he did not do this in a civil manner, as he was blasting The Red Sun in the Sky, a propaganda song created to praise Mao Zedong, pour water onto the table, throwing noodles, swearing at the local citizens. Let us just show you the footage.
Call the police!
And this was the tipping point. Just a few days after his criminal behavior conducted on the 17th, on October 21st, almost all television broadcasters of South Korea, such as SBS, MBC, YTN, etc., not to mention JTBC, who were the first ones to cover him, covered the news on Johnny Somali, making him officially a well-known figure and public enemy #1 inside South Korea by around October 21st. However, as we know already, Johnny Somali actually gets progressively more excited from being nationally televised and becoming famous, seemingly giving him this insane dopamine release and a desire to push the boundaries even more inside the country where he's at. So literally just the day after he was nationally televised from multiple broadcasters, Johnny and his little Johnny Jr. is out in the streets once again, harassing local women and just continue being the little viruses that they have been for the past few weeks in the middle of Seoul. And they thought that they could continue doing this in South Korea without any major negative repercussions. Well, until October 24th. On the night of October 24th, 2024, Johnny Somali and his spawn were having what would be for them another typical day in South Korea of dancing and harassing people and blasting P-graphic audio inside the Seoul Metro subway trains. Then as they were continuing their live stream on the streets of Hongdae, just 2 minutes after midnight on the 25th, a man just walked up to Johnny Somali and punched him in the face.
Trust me, Johnny's. Have a great night. Go to Johnny's stream. We're gonna have a good time. Whoa!
Johnny Jr. initially just stood there and watched Johnny get punched in the face, only to start gingerly following the Korean man, then get his phone taken away from him.
It's on camera. It's on camera. It's on camera. You better get your phone. Yo, give him his phone. Give me his phone. Give him his phone.
Then Johnny continues following the man as he walks away, all the while barking.
Why are you walking away? Again, let's go. Why are you walking away?
Then whenever the man turns around to confront Johnny, just gets scared and backs off.
That's your face. Pull up. I swear to God. I swear to God. Try it.
The set of events that occurred on the night of the 24th, leading into the morning of the 25th, is important for a few reasons when it comes to understanding why Johnny Somali officially became a punching bag for the South Korean people beginning from this day. First, it just became evident on the day that Johnny Somali, or any of his little Johnny Juniors, are not about that life. If you're a guy especially, you just know. We've seen these types of dudes multiple times throughout our lives, from high school to college to when we drink after work. Dudes who you can just clearly tell that they can't even bench 135 in the gym, just talking and acting like that they're all about that life.
Why are you walking away? Again, let's go. Why are you walking away? Let's go. Let's go. Why are you walking away?
Then when the actual moment comes, when a physical altercation is about to happen with a fully grown man,
We got your face. Pull up. I swear to God.
then gets all scared, backs off,
Yo, back up, back up.
and hides behind the law calling for the police. Oh, and you cannot forget about that one dude who clearly just got physically outmatched and got beat up, only to later act like they purposefully let the other guy hit them because they wanted to receive settlement money.
They got CCTV footage, they got all the evidence, all the photos, all the videos we sent. So yeah, this and thank you for the money, bro. That's all I gotta say. Thank you for the money. Thank you for the money.
That one is just classic. And last but not least, one of the most notable things about these beings who cannot do anything against an average-sized male is that they suddenly act all strong and tough against women.
Don't do that.
and are not afraid to raise their hand against them. And it's quite uncanny of how Johnny Somali and Johnny Jr. fits into, quite literally, every single one of these descriptions. Now, after identifying the true nature of Johnny Somali, of how he, not even trying to denounce Johnny at this point, but just describing who he objectively is, a small coward who's really not about that life, many South Korean YouTubers began locating and chasing after him as he became what is termed in South Korea as a 황금 고블린, or a golden goblin, that will automatically increase the view count on their YouTube channels by just having him on. So for some of these South Korean YouTubers, getting their hands on Johnny Somali really did become catching two birds with one stone. First, become a nationally televised hero who provided some much deserved street justice to this streamer villain who harassed the local South Korean people and desecrated the Statue of Peace, not just once, but multiple times in indescribable ways. Second, increase the views and subscriber count on their YouTube channels. And all of this at virtually free of any physical risk, as people found out from Johnny's first beating that him or his friends really cannot do anything against an average-sized male when confronted physically. And on October 26th, while Johnny was out doing his live streaming with Johnny Jr., provoking random strangers on the street, he visited the home of this Korean-American friend of his who helped Johnny out back on the 24th when Johnny got punched in the face. And while Johnny was doing this, the house address of his Korean-American friend got leaked, leading to a number of South Korean YouTubers to gather together in front of the building where the Korean-American lived in. Now, we have to keep in mind once again that by this time on the October 26th, Johnny Somali is already at the point of being public enemy number 1 in South Korea, who has violated the Statue of Peace, as well as hundreds of other villainous actions that he has already taken in the country. Thus the reason why it really did not take much time at all, once Johnny's location got leaked, for many South Korean YouTubers to gather at the place of where Johnny Somali was supposedly at, and with one of the local citizens reporting Johnny and his friends for potential drug use and arms possession. The Drug Investigation Unit of the South Korean police came to search the house of the Korean American. But then at this point, the Korean American, knowing that the Drug Investigation Unit was on their way to his house, told Johnny and Johnny Jr. to get out of his house and go somewhere else for a while so that they do not get drug tested. So when the South Korean police was searching and interrogating the Korean American alone, Johnny and Johnny Jr. was just walking around in the nearby area of the Songpa district, waiting for the Drug Investigation Unit to finish searching the Korean American's house and leave so that they can head back. And once the South Korean Drug Investigation Unit left the Korean American's house, Johnny and Johnny Jr., as initially planned, started walking back towards his house. However, the South Korean YouTubers who were waiting in front of the building confronted Johnny and Johnny Jr. before they got into the house of the Korean American. And while this verbal altercation between the South Korean YouTubers and Johnny Somali was ongoing, a pedestrian who was walking by with his girlfriend, he was not a YouTuber or a streamer by the way, front-kicked Johnny and began chasing after him. Then as Johnny Jr. tried to attack the pedestrian from the back, Johnny Jr. soon got physically outpowered by the man after a bit of wrestling back and forth between them, resulting in Johnny Jr. lying on the road, holding his head. Then Johnny Jr. got up, then just ran far, far away, leaving Johnny Somali behind. Johnny Jr. was in such a hurry to run away in fact, that he even forgot to take his phone with him. Johnny Jr.'s phone was left on the floor in this angle for we do not know how long, until it eventually got picked up by the South Korean YouTubers. Now, after Johnny Jr. sprinted away from the scene, there's a few seconds of peace, with people wondering where on earth Johnny Somali has went. And this is around the time when Johnny's Korean American friend makes his appearance into this mess. In fact, he makes quite a strong entrance. Then during a bit of back and forth between the pedestrian and the Korean American, the pedestrian's girlfriend gets hit in the head during the process while trying to break up the fight between them. The pedestrian, after hearing his girlfriend say ouch, gets even angrier, then out-wrestles the Korean American, similar in manner to what he did with Johnny Jr., almost at the exact same spot in fact. Now, although we really cannot show the direct footage of the fight, the Korean American, once put on the floor by the pedestrian, did not get punched in the the face while on the floor or anything of that nature, mostly thanks to the pedestrian's girlfriend throwing her body onto the floor and covering the Korean American on top of him so that her boyfriend doesn't do any more physical damage onto him. This was very wise for her to do, as knowing the South Korean justice system, if the Korean American got any more physically hurt at that point, then her boyfriend could have literally faced potential jail time. So again, the Korean American really do have to thank the pedestrian's girlfriend for saving him from getting seriously hurt. But then, on the back of all of our minds, we are all uniformly asking, where on earth is Johnny Somali, who started all of this mess? Well, when his Korean-American friend, who actually came out from his home with a stick to save Johnny, was lying on the floor getting beat up, instead of helping his friend, Johnny sneakily makes his appearance out of nowhere from the back, saying,
Police! Police!
And Johnny clearly has absolutely no intention whatsoever to physically help his Korean-American friend, who was simultaneously wrestling on the floor at that very moment, and as you can imagine, runs away once again from the scene, leaving his Korean-American friend behind on the floor, and enters into what looks to be the back entrance of the building where the Korean-American's home is at. Only one South Korean YouTuber followed Johnny and filmed him getting into the building, as everyone else at that moment was too busy breaking up the fight between the pedestrian and the Korean American. We really have to give it to Johnny on this one though. He's just so good at weaving and running away, while all his friends, who are not as nimble as him, are all caught and wrestled onto the floor. So anyways, the police comes and breaks up the scene between the Korean American and the rest, and only when the police has arrived, pops up our little Johnny Somali once again from his hiding spot inside the building. Now, by the point after the October 27th, Johnny Somali is scared. He knows that finding and beating him has become a national pastime in South Korea at this point, and has been both punched and kicked by a street justice citizen in less than a week. So he goes into a complete hermit mode from the 27th onwards, and goes on a Discord call with his fans on the 28th, trying to find an escape route out of South Korea.
If you're gonna leave, do not fly out of Seoul, okay? If you're going to leave, take a cab from your hotel, literally, or wherever you're staying. Take a cab and go somewhere out of the city.
And on October 30th, Johnny does his infamous YouTube livestream that got his livestream account permanently banned. We speculate from the myriads of racist and sexually inappropriate remarks and gestures he made on the livestream. We actually watched the stream for a bit, and it just always leaves us speechless whenever we actually hear the words that come out of the mouth of Johnny Somali and his followers. Like the things they say, which are so clearly inappropriate for YouTube, just makes us wonder how such people with such thoughts inside their heads can actually function normally throughout the day and can be walking among us on the same street. So in the morning, sometime past midnight, on the 31st of October, Johnny Somali's livestream YouTube account was permanently banned from the platform while he was streaming. On his stream on the 31st though, he made sure to provoke the South Korean citizens once again, telling the people to come catch him on Halloween day.
Tomorrow I'm outside for Halloween. Come catch me. I'm outside tomorrow. Come catch. Oh yeah, come catch.
And well, it really did not take that long to make his wishes come true. Just a few hours later, at around 9:30 a.m., Johnny was getting out of his hideout spot in Songpa district under police protection. Then a former Navy SEAL from South Korea, who identified the location of Johnny Somali from the reflection on Johnny's smartphone and laptop, which showed the insides of his room, as well as from the logo on the box of the pizza that he ordered the night before, just punched Johnny in the face, making him fly down onto the floor.
Hey.
야, 소말리. 어디가?
어디가?
어?
어디가?
어디가?
Don't touch my.
어디가?
Don't touch me.
어?
Huh?
소말리 어디가?
Yes sir.
어디 가냐고?
You guys calling me crazy? Look at you.
어디가?
어디가? What you mean? 어디가?
어디가?
What is 어디가? Oh. Yo.
So although it was only at 9:30 in the morning, Johnny was caught, as he himself wished just a few hours ago, earlier in his livestream, and was sent night-night by the South Korean former Navy SEAL.
야, 굿나잇, 소말리. 굿나잇. 굿나잇.
Now, with this being the third time that Johnny either got punched or kicked in the span of a week, he really did seem shook at this point, knowing that he now really was being hunted down as a national sport in South Korea. But sadly for him, the type of escape that he wanted to conduct just a few days ago is no longer legally possible for him at this point in time, as the South Korean authorities have currently barred him from leaving the country. This is as on October 31st, the day of his third beatdown, Johnny was charged by the Seoul Mapo police for obstruction of business operations for his act that he conducted inside the convenience store back on October 17th and has to attend police investigation. So Johnny, as of the time of creating this video, is currently at a hideout somewhere in South Korea, laying low, as he knows that as soon as he even tries to start some type of outdoors live streaming again inside the country,
Come get me!
well, we all know what's going to happen to him. The predicament that Johnny Somali is facing right now in South Korea, he really could so easily have avoided, without being punched in the face. In hindsight, the best scenario would have been for him to arrive in South Korea on September 26th, 2024, on his 24th birthday, and be the reformed, more mature version of himself that he initially promised to be. Go around sightseeing in South Korea in a civil, respectful manner. Not even respectful actually, just without causing harm to others, and without taking videos, of course. Less than a year ago, in December 2023, he stated at the Osaka district courtroom under oath that he will no longer broadcast videos, and if he even has the slightest, tiniest of will to be a man of his word, that little streaming stick of his should have never been included inside his bag when he was leaving for South Korea, and his smartphone should have only been used for taking photos when inside the country. But literally with the lack of any other expression, he's a liar, the inexorable type whose lying is just chronic, unfixable.
Because of black skin?
No.
Because black skin?
No.
Black.
No. Foreigners in Korea should carry the ID card or the passport as always.
Tomorrow I carry. I left in my hotel today.
Tomorrow not. I mean, but every time.
Sorry, next time I carry. Sorry, I don't
It's
know.
not like you say sorry or not.
I'm in
That is
USA.
Korean law, so you're gonna be.
I do. Here, take my bag. What I do? Take my bag. What I do? What?
And can be done on their part without the most minuscule sense of guilt. You just do not state under oath in court to never do something ever again, then just to do that exact thing a few minutes later. And we can guarantee that he'll pull off the exact same action in South Korea as well, if he ever goes to court in South Korea for the charges that he's currently under. OD, I'm truly sorry. I'll never do this and this again, only to walk out of the courtroom and repost a P-graphic photoshopped photo of the Statue of Peace that he violated multiple times during his stay in South Korea. Well, he's actually already done that a few days ago, but you guys get the idea.
I apologize, you guys, and I will no longer talk about your statue or touch it ever again. I hope that I can live in peace here in South Korea and we could get past the situation.
He'll just never change. And knowing that he'll never change, one thing is for certain. The citizens of South Korea, or the citizens of any other country on earth for that matter, need Johnny Somali on their streets. The lives of the South Korean people are already as hard as it is without Johnny Somali. The nation already has the highest rate of people taking away their own lives amongst all of the OECD nations. And we're sure that our viewers may have already seen a video on YouTube that describes South Korea in the lines of the most depressed country in the world. So we do not need Johnny Somali scaring away our grandmothers. We do not need him turning on P-graphic audio at the theme parks where parents bring their kids to on one of their rare off days from work in order to create invaluable memories with their children. We do not need him or any of his Johnny Juniors going around conducting harassment or verbal as harassment onto female citizens. And this is what really frustrates us the most about Johnny Somali. You'll know what we mean if you've watched any of his live streams. When he is harassing people, it is almost all categorically against the elderly, children or teenagers, or against women. He just never really bothers or harasses a grown man on the street. When an actual grown man confronts him, he suddenly goes from the
Don't do that.
attitude to either
Yo, back up. Yo, back up. Back up. You trying to hit me with that? I have you on camera.
어쩌라고.
Back up. Hit me that, you go to jail.
뭐.
Back up. You're police. Back the fuck up.
뭘 police.
You're police.
Police.
Like, let's be honest, Johnny Somali never actually receives proper street justice. He has this uncanny ability to evacuate, weaving, hiding, or somehow find a way to receive police protection like nobody we have ever seen. While watching the entire footage of his second beatdown on the October 27th, we really thought that he had one of those invisibility cloaks from Harry Potter or something. While all his friends, who are, let's just say, not as agile as Johnny, are caught, put on the floor, and are receiving street justice, Johnny Somali just literally disappears, only to magically reappear as soon as he sees the police who are there to protect him. Same with the third beatdown. Although the former Navy SEAL did manage to pop Johnny just once, as always, Johnny was at the presence of the police who are there to protect him. As disappointing as it may be, Johnny Somali is just one of those people who will always annoy, harass, and pester others and make their lives a living misery, while he himself will always find that one way, whether it be hiding behind the police or use that invisibility cloak that he used on the 27th, sprint away faster than Usain Bolt. Just, the means for him will always be there, and the end result will always be that he once again weasels out of the situation without the deserved repercussions, only for him to head to another country and mock the nation's history and harass the local people, with the worst of the harassment part being that it will almost all be against the elderly, minors smaller in physical stature, or women, while shouting,
Yo, back up, back up. Back up, back up. Back the fuck up.
or
Police. Police.
against fully grown men.